Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy. I go by Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. As soon as I started talking, my dog started like pulling at my leg. You guys know Freya. See, I'm not sitting, so she's like, what's going on? You're not sitting. Hi, you say hi. Yeah. You say hi. I know some of you come for Freya as much as anything. Isn't she cute? Can feel her tail wagging. Okay, go see Dad or something. Okay, we've got a full house today, so you might hear stuff in the background. My daughter's actually cutting next door, cutting fabric, so she might have questions, cutting for Oak Crown Studios. So I'm here to talk about quilts today. I have a ton of stuff to share, but first, I keep forgetting to talk about it. So if you've been here before, you probably know I opened Oak Crown Studios last year. I think it's actually been like a year, well, since I officially started the business. Anyway, started Oak Crown Studios last year. I sell hand-dyed fabric, both quilting and cross-stitch fabric. There's floss coming soon. Anyway, I have a thing that I'm super excited about that I have a listing for up in the shop. I'm calling it my Mermaid's Treasure Chest. I'm not calling it a box because I'm not shipping it in a box. I have a listing for Mermaid's Treasure Chest. This is the only Oak Crown stuff. I just want to get it over with at the start for people who don't want to stick around for the quilting. Mermaid's Treasure Chest, its expected ship date is December 1st, and I'm super excited about it. It's going to include three fat quarters in the fabric choice and count of your choice. And then a few other appropriately themed goodies that will remain a surprise. And I'm not going to show you guys what the colors are going to be, but I'm really excited about them. It is limited, so I only have a certain number that I can sell. So if you're interested in my Mermaid's Treasure Chest, I will link it below. Head on over to Oak Crown Studios and go ahead and purchase that before they run out. Okay, commercial over. I'm here to talk about quilting today. I've been getting a bunch of quilting done. I'm really excited. My quilting bug is very high at the moment. We just spent a week at our cabin and we challenged me to get 4 quilt tops done in a week. That didn't happen. But I got the cutting for 4 quilts done. I got 2 of them completed. 1 of them is complete except for the outermost border. The 4th one didn't happen. I'm very proud of myself, especially because I didn't actually have access to my sewing room for 3 of those days because my mother-in-law was visiting, and my craft room is also the guest room. So I wasn't in there. So I'm super excited. Also, I've been doing a huge clean out. So Oak Crown Studios is growing. It's awesome. It's taking up more space in my house. I'm doing an enormous clean out of my basement. And to make workspace down there, you might be able to hear my daughter cutting, to make workspace down there, like efficient and effective workspace for Oak Crown Studios. So in that process, my basement has been like a storeroom for my crafting supplies. Mostly, not really cross stitch, but mostly quilting and like knitting and spinning stuff. So in order to clear out space, I was digging out quilt kits. I've been collecting quilt kits for years. Like many people, I bought a lot more stuff during COVID, including quilt kits. So last week I had a couple of days where I was just like digging out quilt kits and was like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff and I need to start using it. I need to start making it. I need to start actually enjoying what I have, right? It also cuts my shopping bug way down real fast if I just start like using what I have. So anyway, I actually filmed kind of like my cleaning situation, and it's not done. I'm gonna keep filming it, and at some point I may put up like, it'll be mostly time lapse. I'm talking to the camera some, but kind of the process of cleaning out my space down there for those of you who are interested, because I know some of you are interested. Okay, point is I've been doing a lot of quilting. I am not even going to try to show you everything I've touched today. I've been doing a bunch of English paper piecing, I've been doing some English paper piecing, not enough to feel like it's worth showing you guys my progress. It just isn't that great. So I'm not showing you that, but that doesn't mean I haven't been doing it. I've been doing a lot of things, but I need to kind of pare down what I'm going to show you guys today. I'm going to film this video, and then I've got a long day of dyeing. I actually was doing prep work for dyeing this morning, me doing a bunch of dyeing this afternoon. Life, summer, fun, family, all kinds of things going on. Okay, I'm going to get started. So, like I said, we had this challenge of Amy, let's see if you can get 4 quilt tops done in like a week, basically. Sorry, I'm moving off camera a little bit. So the first one I grabbed, and of course I was strategic, and I grabbed easy. I started with easy. So I had a quilt kit for this. Is it called Starling? It's hard to read backwards. Starling quilt kit. This is from the Fat Quarter Shop. It's very simple, but very pretty. And I grabbed that one. I've got the kit came with a binding. I don't know that the kit's still available. It might be, but the pattern, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I had to look it up because the pattern is not in, excuse me, dropping things. The pattern is not in here. So I got to my cabin and I'm like, I'm like, where's the pattern? It's a free download on Fat Quarter Shop's website. If I remember, I will try to link that below as well. But I started and finished this one in one day. Very excited. It's not big. It's 52.5 by 52.5. I can't see what you see. Can you see the whole thing? Okay. Very simple, very, very simple and beautiful, and a fantastic lap quilt. Each of these fabrics is like, so it's like the same fabric, but in a different colorway. I like that it's got a little bit of pattern or texture to them. I believe these are all art gallery fabrics, which I am absolutely falling in love with. So yeah, simple. That's gonna be in queue to take to my long arm. My long armor has a bunch of stuff right now. Actually been doing some secret quilting, which I'm not ready to show you guys yet, but it's actually been taking up a lot of my time. But I'll show you when I can, once recipients have their stuff. So that was quilt top number 1. I sewed it all in one day. I spent one evening cutting. I guess it took me one evening to cut 2 quilt kits. It took me another evening to cut 2 more quilt kits. And I also cut part of a Tula Pink. I have so many Tula Pink quilt kits. It would be nice if I started sewing some of them. Anyway, I started cutting a Tula Pink spools quilt kit. I didn't finish cutting it, but that's going to be in queue for when I go back to the cabin. Things are falling everywhere. Okay, the next thing I did was another kit from, so this kit I got from Happy Little Stitch Shop. I'll link them down below too. I'll link Fat Quarter Shop also. Fat Quarter Shop's great. Happy Little Stitch Shop, also really awesome. And I know I've mentioned them before. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan in part because they're a smaller, newer shop. And I love the customer service they give. I'll try to link their YouTube channel as well. Angela, who runs it, she actually just opened her brick and mortar. But she's been an online shop for a while. She's got a YouTube channel here that I love. Anyway, you should check them out. They might kind of fit your vibe. So this was I guess I don't need to keep, anyway, I'm sorry, my brain's all over the place. I can kind of disassemble some of these things now that I'm showing them. This was a quilt kit I got. It's a very simple, see, it's just squares, right? It's super simple, but something about it, just the colors and the florals made me very happy. Now, one thing about this quilt kit is that you cut you basically get a layer cake and you cut a lot of 5-inch squares from that layer cake. You cut it all up. No, into 4.5-inch squares. And you have way more squares than you need. So you're then able to choose which specific fabrics you want in each row. So I put the pattern down too soon. I did not, and this is the fabric line is Slow Stroll by Fancy That Design House. I did not follow their, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Am I done? I'm not done. No, I might be done. Okay. I did not follow their fabric placement specific, like exactly. I have my own fabrics from the line that I particularly liked, so I tried to use more of those. I tried to make sure there's lots of variety. I made mine a little bit more, I think, consistent on the like color stepping, like the gradient that's being built, because theirs is definitely like jumbled up quite a bit where they've like reverse placement of certain things. I did that a lot, or I did that a little bit, but not a lot. So I made some of my own decisions when doing the color placement. But I love the line, and I've got a whole bunch of squares left over for my scrap bag. The kit came with the binding, and this is what it looks like. I cannot see what you can see at all. Let's see. I'm trying to give you a good look of the whole thing. I love how this turned out. It's not big. It's, what does it say, 44 by 56 or something? It's not big at all. So this square here, I made a few changes, small changes to the pattern as well. That square, so there's one on the corner there, and there's one at the bottom on the large purple square. So there was a panel. This came from a panel, and I have parts of the panel left over that I could make like pillows with or something. And then the instructions had you use fusible applique to put this like raw edge on the corner. I didn't want to do that. I've done fusible applique. I plan on doing more fusible applique. Well, it's not my favorite. I don't love the feeling of that glue in there. Are you just listening? You're welcome to keep listening. My daughter's here. Anyway, I didn't want to do that. I don't know, to have the whole quilt just fabric and then like fusible square in two places, quilts are very tactile to me, and I wasn't gonna love that feeling. So it made my squares just a tiny bit smaller than they were supposed to be. Like if you can see them a little bit smaller. If I had thought this through ahead of time, I would have cut a couple squares 5 inches instead, or 5 1/4 instead of 4 1/2. But sorry, 4 3/4 instead of 4 1/2. I actually turned the edges under 1/4 inch and then just machine appliqued those edges down to put those squares in place. And so their edges don't line up perfectly. They're pretty close. They don't line up perfectly, but nope, I was showing the wrong one. This one. They don't line up perfectly. But if anybody gets close enough to criticize me on that, they can not visit me in my home again. So anyway, this made me happy. This was actually, I think I finished the first one I showed you. I think I did that one and like half of this one in a day. And then the next day I did this one, finished this one, and then started cutting again for some more. And like I said, I definitely like grabbed some of the lowest hanging fruit. When I was like, oh cool, 4 quilt kits in a week. Yeah, let's find the easiest quilt kits I have. It wasn't all of the easiest quilt kits I have, but I mean, those were some pretty you know, simple quilts. So then my mother-in-law visited, and I didn't like have access to my craft room. And then when she left, I got back to work. And this is not done yet. So this is, I should show you what it's supposed to look like. Am I talking really fast? I feel like I'm flying through. Dinosaur Friends quilt kit and pillowcase. Quilt and pillowcase. So this, it's probably not a free download. Sometimes like companies do free downloads for their fabrics. It might be. It's from In the Beginning Fabrics. So when we went to visit my mother-in-law in Virginia earlier this summer, there's a quilt shop. And of course I do not have their name here. There's a quilt shop we always stop at. It's off 81 in Virginia. Patchwork Plus, maybe? I'll try to link it below. I don't feel like they have the best website, although I have ordered from them, but the shop inside is out of this world. They just have so much. It's amazing. Anyway, they had this, the model for this hanging up, and the fabrics have like this like watercolor feel to them, right? It's one of those like, they look like watercolor artwork, and it's just beautiful. This picture does not do it justice. Honestly, I was like, oh, I kind of wish I still had like a little kid and I could do this quilt. And then Logan, my middle child, was like, Mom, can I have that quilt? And I was like, of course you can, sweetie. I can do that for you. Give me an excuse. I was so happy that somebody wanted it. Anyway, this was my almost finished. And I actually, I could have finished it. What's today? Today is Tuesday, July 23rd. On the 21st was when I was working on this, and I was sewing it start to finish on the 21st, and as well as doing other things. And I was planning on finishing it, even though it was like after dinner, but my back was starting to hurt. I cut on the floor, and I needed to cut, I'll show you, I needed to cut a border, like kind of fussy cut a border, and my back was hurting, and it was gonna take a while, and I was just like, I can't, like, I need to stop or my back's gonna be hurting for days. So anyway, I stopped. But this is where I am so far. So there's one more border that goes on. Let me try to get from the bottom first. Can you see that? Yeah. There's one more border that goes on all the way around. But look at these dinosaurs. These are nice dinosaurs. Look at how pretty they are. Look at that. I think they're beautiful. I won't show you all of them. Some of you might be bored and not care. I think they're gorgeous. So yeah, this is from In the Beginning Fabrics. Look at the cute little Ankylosaurus. I love him. Okay. So that is almost done. I brought it home so I could finish the border. I'm gonna have a lot of cleanup. I want to show you what the border fabric looks like. I'm gonna be doing my first mitered border. I'm not real worried. I've read the instructions. It doesn't seem that hard. I'm more concerned about cutting it. So this is the border fabric. So there's like across the width of fabric, there's 4 sections of these dinosaurs. And I have to cut 9.5 inch widths, you know, like fussy cutting and making sure I'm staying, you know, to maintain the scene. I figured out, I think for me, the best way to do that, I cut off the selvage to start. So the next time I go to cut, I just have to do 9.5 inches from here to here. And once I get all 4 widths cut, I can sew them on and do the mitered corner, which again, at least reading the instructions for the mitered corner, it does not seem difficult or complicated. So do me a favor and cross your fingers for me that I'm not proved wrong. And then there's leftovers. Where did I put the leftovers? I don't know, they're somewhere around here. I have a bunch of leftovers that you then like do a patchwork pillowcase when you're done. I feel like I should slow down. Oh, I know where the leftovers are. They're what fell. This green is the binding. I just love these fabrics. So you have one dinosaur left over from the panel, and that goes in the pillowcase. Anyway, I'm very excited. I need to be careful. My stand is up on a chair, like a upholstered chair, and it's kind of near the edge, and I don't want you guys to come crashing down. I just wanted to show this real quick because a while back I did like a quilt with me video, and you saw this like bundled up in my lap if you watched that, but you didn't get to see what it like actually looks like. And it basically lives in this room, so I can grab it whenever I want to do some hand quilting. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you a better view of this quilt. I'm still working away on it. I feel like I need a ladder. So, yeah, I'm plugging away, making progress. If you watched that video, you already saw tons. I mean, I only have to do where there's still pins. So the huge central portion's done. I've definitely got some around the outside. I'm gonna guess I'm like 2/3 of the way done. And I'm just kind of like echoing the shapes. Might be able to see better on the back. So like when it's a rectangle, I'm just doing like concentric rectangles. There's triangle pieces, so I've done triangles. There's stuff all over this room. And you can hear my kids coming and going. I have kids going to the basement to play video games. My guess is it's 1 o'clock. They're allowed, today they're allowed to start. 12:59. Oh, 12:59, my daughter reports. They're allowed to start video games at 1 o'clock. So, okay. What's next? Okay, I went to the quilter recently, dropped off 4 quilts and picked up 2. I'll show you the quilts from the quilter first. All right, this one I'm so proud of. This is the first time I've had somebody do like custom quilting on a quilt top. I mean, the long armor quilted it. This is one of Gesundheit. This is one of the most complicated quilts I've ever made, and I'm very, very proud of it. It took me 15 or more years, but most of the time it was just sitting in a box. So it's got a Lone Star pattern in the middle. Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to my children. Pause, please. Liam, you can't be talking that loud. Okay, sharing a small house with a lot of people. So it's got the Lone Star in the middle. And then like Drunkard's Path kind of border. And I love this quilt so much. I picked all the fabrics myself. I couldn't tell you what they are because it's been so long. I love the color palette I chose. This is just like a high quality off-white muslin. I love how this turned out. And I love the quilting we chose. It was an interesting process choosing quilting for each section. So you got these little doohickeys inside each of those diamonds. I'm just gonna try kind of scan through and let you guys see. I love what's in the borders. It's much more dense here on the edge. Very, very pretty. I love it. I don't normally quilt something this densely. I really like the design we did in those diamonds. Anyway, I could stand up. Well, my arms would give out eventually, but I would love to just look at this quilt all day. I love the little, so is there a word for this? So like, I always just call a curved piece like this, like Drunkard's Path, but is there a word for that? Like a general word for a curved piece attached to a square or rectangle, other than saying it's like a Drunkard's Path piece? I don't know. I mean, these are Drunkard's Path blocks, just not set how you would normally see a like full Drunkard's Path quilt. But then this one's weird because it's like attached to a much larger rectangle. I don't know. Anyway, I am very excited. Very, very excited about this quilt. And I kind of went back, it's like lap size, it's not huge. I went back and forth. Oh, this was my backing. I'm not sure. I don't know off the top of my head where the backing came from. When I periodically will order backings that I like and that I know fit my style, and then when I have a quilt top that's done, I just go to my stash of backings. I do usually use a wide back, but I think this is one that is readily available most of the time. Gotta pull a couple threads off. And then, so the price of this went way up like a year or two ago, but I have several rolls of Moda's bias binding. There's some shops where you buy it by the yard. At Fat Quarter Shop, you can buy the whole roll, and it used to be a lot cheaper. I used to be able to get a roll of this for like 45 bucks, and now it's like 72 bucks or something. I love this stuff. I don't love making my own binding. I can, but also by the time the quilt's done, I just want to throw on the binding and get it in the wash. Anyway, I know I can make bindings as I go, whatever. If I can get one of these, I love it. So I have a bunch of these down in my basement. And when I'm done with the quilt, that's usually where I go first to see if there's anything I like and will work. So this is just like a muslin, very much like this here. And I think that's probably what I'm just going to put on the border because I feel like it fits the character of the quilt. I do have some extra of some of these fabrics, and I thought about using some of those, but I think this is what to me is going to look the best. So that's my plan. Very excited about this one. Okay. I gotta keep the binding with the quilt. Next, this is another one I got from the Long Armor, and this still has some work to be done on it. So this was a Lori Holt quilt. So this is a backing. It's a Lori Holt backing that's relatively new. I want to say this backing is from her Hometown collection, which is a recent, or is it Mercantile? Mercantile, probably. I don't know. You guys who are Lori Holt encyclopedias, you can tell me. I'm thinking Mercantile. Anyway, I had ordered it for the backing of a different quilt for one of the Mercantile quilts, and when it showed up, I was like, I don't actually love it with that quilt top, but because it's all kind of pink toned, and got a lot of red. I loved it for this quilt. So this is her Baked with Love quilt, and I got this as a kit when it was on clearance from Fat Quarter Shop. Sometimes Fat Quarter Shop, if you look in their clearance section or their sale section, sometimes they have things that are, you can get really good prices on things. Anyway. Oh, it feels very big. This is a much bigger quilt. Whew. So I enjoyed making this quilt. Each of these is an oven with a different like towel hanging over the bar. After I'm going to bind it first, And then you sew buttons on. Each oven gets 4 buttons to be their knobs. This quilt was a challenge, just keeping all of the, like the piecing is simple, but the organization and keeping each of the pieces straight. I have to assume at any given time that anything I'm working on might get tossed about and jumbled between children and a dog. People move things. They don't necessarily understand that they shouldn't be moving when they're moving, or that they need to keep things together. It can be a challenge to not get things all jumbled up and messy. So that part was a challenge, was just keeping all of these little pieces, right, like together separate. Once I have a quilt cut, I'm usually very anxious to like start sewing it together to reduce the number of just, you know, unattached pieces I have. And this quilt just has a lot of Lori Holt, her pictorial blocks in particular, they just have lots of little pieces. They're not hard to sew together. There's just so many of them. I get very antsy that things are gonna go missing. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. Let me think if I can remember the name of the collection. Some of you are screaming it at me. It wasn't one of the most recent collections, fabric collections. It wasn't from home. It had something to do with Happy Homemaker or something. That wasn't it. But Vintage Housewife, maybe? Anyway, I love it. I love it. So I need to get this bound. The binding came with a kit. This will be the binding. I have sewn the binding together. I just need to press it. So this is the binding, also from the collection. I love the border. I'm finding as I get older, I really like more interesting borders instead of just, I mean, this also has just a plain border around the edge, but I like that it has a border with more interest. You know, like a set of borders. I'm finding those, I feel like they're more and more worth the work. The older I get, the more I'm inclined to put the work into those things. These are all trimmed up and ready to be bound. And then washed and then used. Oh, this one I gotta sew those buttons on too. But that's fine. That'll be like a relaxing evening, like sitting in front of the TV, sewing those on. So those are from the long armor. This next one is, which is another near finish, is another quilt that has been hanging around for a long time. So if you've watched me before, you know I love English paper piecing. Grandmother's Flower Garden has pretty much always been, if not my favorite, very close to my favorite type of quilt and quilt pattern. Oh, I just remembered something I should have brought in here. I picked up a Grandmother's Flower Garden quilt. I'll show it next time. A quilt top at an antique mall. I'm very excited about it. Anyway, back in my early quilting days, I had, like now I'm much more like, if I want to do something, I can do it. It might take a long time. It might take a lot of effort. It might be confusing, but I can figure it out, right? I can make it work. I was not like that when I started quilting. I very much was like, oh no, I can't do that, right? Like that's too hard. I can't do that sort of thing. So I wanted to do something that would give me kind of Grandmother's Flower Garden flowers, but the assumption was I couldn't English paper piece. I don't know why. Now I English paper piece like crazy. But I started this 18 years ago, 16 years ago. And I decided to basically applique, like raw edge applique, some like Grandmother's Flower Garden type flowers on a background to make a really small, simple quilt. So these flowers, you'll see there's not individual petals. I cut out the shape of a flower as it had been put together, and then I cut out a single hexagon for the center. There's no English paper piecing. And I have another quilt, I don't know if I've shown it, I probably have. It's squares that, it's just square backgrounds and then like concentric squares going into the center that I appliqued this way, and I loved that project. So there's no interfacing or fusible or anything in here. I just pinned it down and then just stitched just a straight stitch on my machine, just a little ways in from the edge. And then the edges get a little bit fuzzy. I like the look of it. Anyway, I picked this up recently and decided to finish it. It's really small. It would make a good baby quilt, or a good just like throw over your feet quilt or a lap quilt. But I really like it. The backing, I don't know, is something random for my backing collection. But I did it with all like 30s prints and things. I'm not sure what this is, but I liked the, I'm gonna sneeze again. Nope, got to go away. I liked having just a little something in the background instead of plain white, even though I know like 30s kind of classic is plain white. So the quilting was just appliquing the flowers down. So the way I made this, and I've done this before for small quilts, this is how I quilt them often. I basically just made a quilt sandwich with the backing, the batting, and the background fabric. I made the quilt sandwich. Then while I had it spread out on the floor, I placed the flowers where I wanted to, where I felt like they were appropriately randomly placed, pinned each of those in place. And then those applique stitches are also the quilting stitches. So by the time I've appliqued all the flowers down, the quilting is also done. And then I just, you know, trim the edge and I get to bind it. And I wish this had been done for one of my kids for when they were little, but that's okay. It's still a really fun quilt. I think it's really pretty. I might hang it on the wall at some point. I don't know. I love it. I love 30s repro fabrics. And I haven't cut it up yet, but this is going to be my binding. And they also, like the 30s fabrics, I don't know, they just give me nice, like springy, summery vibes, which is definitely what I'm feeling here lately. So that needs to be bound. It's so much work to do. Okay. Next. All right, now I have a few things I just want to show you that I'm really into, things I like, plans sort of, and some of what I'm working on. I have mystery quilting, secret quilting, I can't show you that I'm working on. I've got a ton of quilts that are like nearly done. Definitely want to finish Logan's quilt. I've got a ton of handwork quilts to be doing. My Tula Pink English paper piece quilt is coming along. My grandmother's flower garden I'm doing with my daughter is coming along. My son's chicken salad is coming along. Some of these quilts I've shown you in the past, they're still coming along, just very slowly. Okay. I don't think I've shown you guys this before. I apologize if I have, but I'm going to show you again. All right, I got this quilt recently called Pine Cone Quilts. This blew my mind. This is, well, you know I love handwork. So this is just another way to do handwork. These quilts are basically made by sewing prairie points. You can do them in lots of ways, but I think traditionally they are mostly done by sewing prairie points in circles, overlapping each other. I'm gonna show you some pictures. Look at that. Look at this. Look at how amazing that is. This is the kind of quilt book that you can actually read. It's not just patterns. You can read this thing. So once you understand how they're doing it, and there's instructions in here too for how to do it and for actual patterns, you can just go for it and go to town. There's patterns in here. This does take time. There's patterns in here for small projects. I don't want to show instructions. I don't want to show things I shouldn't be showing, because I want you to get the book if you're interested in doing it. Okay, so like they have like just to put in an embroidery hoop, a small one. The author is Betty Ford Smith. I'll show you her picture. And I'll try to link this book. I'll try to find it, link it below. Although I just came across this book while I was like searching for other stuff. So these are done as like doilies. So they're called pine cone quilts or sometimes pine burr quilts. I think they're beautiful and fun. And I have a lot of old yardage that oh, look at how colorful that is. Like large sections of yardage. It's fine. It just, I'm kind of not like, it's stuff that I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that now. Anyway, I got mine started. I bought a backing fabric. I bought an extra wide backing fabric to do this on, and you can see what it looks like on the back. And this is the first time I've done this, so it's, not perfect at all. I'm embracing the folk art nature of this. I didn't bring the stack down, but I have a stack of mostly blues and greens, some black. This has green in it. It's going to be mostly a blues and greens quilt, but kind of rain it. This one isn't all the way sewn down yet. I need to finish that. But anyway, you just are sewing these concentric circles around and around and around. And it is so stinking relaxing. You're using crochet cotton, which is super tough and strong. So there's no batting, but this thing is going to be thick and heavy. I actually, even as it's already like heavy just from doing this small section. I was telling these are basically prairie points. I was telling my husband, this is basically a weighted blanket is what this is going to be. This is a weighted blanket without, I don't know if any of you guys have had weighted blankets. Sometimes the insides like shift and it's kind of a mess. This is going to be a weighted blanket where things don't shift. It's so fun. And I can't wait to see how it continues to grow. It's going to be so beautiful. I'm really excited. I repurposed the excess backing to go in here as well. Anyway, that's kind of a new obsession of mine. You can see I have a long ways to go to get it done. But I cut and created a whole bunch of prairie points. So they're ready and they're sitting next to my bed. So anytime I feel this is like a great, like you don't have to follow instructions, just feeling kind of lazy, not up to a lot, but I can sew some of these on kind of project. I need water. I'm almost done now. Okay, the other thing I'm really excited about, or the other thing I showed you, I'm honestly excited about so many things. I just got this in the mail the other day, and I had pre-ordered it not ages ago, but months ago. This is from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I will try to also link this actual product down below. I feel like, so I'm not paid by any of these people, okay? But the shops that I've mentioned and that I use a lot, Fat Quarter Shop, Missouri Star Quilt Company, and Happy Little Stitch Shop. And then of course myself, because I can get some of my own stuff. But I should show you guys. Well, I'll do a little product plug here in a few minutes. But anyway, I'm like, I should be using my videos more as a commercial, and I totally don't, because that's not why I do these things. Anyway, sorry, I'm babbling now. I ordered this a while back. So this, it's Ingrid's Wildflowers embroidery kit. It's to make a quilt. The pattern's in here, so I'll show you what the quilt's supposed to look like. Okay. So basically this kit has everything you need other than the fabric. You need to provide like whatever fabrics you want to do it on. Everything you need to make these embroidery squares to sew into a quilt. And I think this is based on like an actual quilt in her collection from her great something. I don't know. I don't remember. I did read the description, but I don't remember who it was. Anyway, this is what the quilt looks like that they've put together. I don't want to do mine quite as dark as this. I want to go more for like mid-range colors and tones. But I want to show you what's in here. It's just so cute. So cute. And I love decorative tins. So it's this great, it all comes in this great tin, and these are still available. I looked yesterday. And it was actually, there's like a plastic insert that I took out, but the plastic insert kept everything a little more in place nicely. I took it out because I plan to cut my background squares later today and put them in here, and I'll need more room for that. But it comes with all the pearl cottons that you need. I can't tell, and I haven't been able to tell, what brand of pearl cotton this is. It's not Voldani. And they're not variegated, but that's, I mean, that's fine. It's just, I didn't mean it sound like a criticism, just a fact. Comes with all of the called for pearl cottons. And then it comes with this cute, I gotta show you this. This is adorable. I don't want it to fall. This cute little ring full of the instruction cards. Sorry about glare. These are so cute. So it's got like, I'm just kind of flashing them. I don't want to keep them up too long, but it's got like each design, what it's supposed to look like and which stitches go where. And then on the backs of the cards, it gives you like instructions for how to do each of those stitches, like what they're supposed to look like. They're so cute. It feels like there's more in here than there are. And at the beginning of the packet, I can't show you. At the beginning of the packet, there's like your general instructions, beginning of this packet, there's like general instructions for what to do and how large to cut your squares and all of that, and how to use, there's, I'll show you in a minute, but there's like backgrounds, there's like pre-printed embroidery, wash away fabric. I'll come back to that you put down. It has instructions for all of that. It's also got detailed stitch instructions at the beginning for how to do each of the stitches. That's why this is so thick. It's got star stitch, satin stitch, fly stitch. And I love the idea of improving my embroidery skills. Lazy daisy, French knot, stem stitch, back stitch. Anyway, it's got all your stitch diagrams, and then it's got a key for each of the flowers, because they're all different. I think there's 20 of them. Is that right? Yeah, there's 20. They're all different. And then it also comes with, so these are like washed, so the embroidery patterns are pre-printed on here, and there's an adhesive backing. So you stick them down, you center them and stick them down in each of your squares of fabric and do the embroidery, and then it's supposed to wash away just like with a little bit of agitation in cool water. We'll see. I've never used anything like this before, but I'm excited about it. It sounds very easy, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll go well. It came with I don't know if it's a wooden or a bamboo embroidery hoop that seems, it's like not as nice as like the really expensive ones, but it's also like nicer than what you get at like Michael's or Joann's embroidery hoop wise. I don't know. I'm probably going to use it. We'll see how it goes. Came with this adorable needle minder. Love the needle minder. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it was, because I did order it months ago, but I feel like it was worth my money. It also comes with this little, I don't know what you call it, like a little paper needle book with scissors. This is where the needle minder was, comes with needles, and it popped out, but there's a thing like this with a needle threader as well. And a story. Okay, grandmother Ingrid immigrated from Sweden, and she embroidered hundreds of intricate wildflowers on denim squares. She learned to quilt by piecing, this is Jenny Doan, who runs Missouri Star. She learned to quilt by piecing each embroidered block together. So this is kind of like a story of part of how Missouri Star started. And I think it's wonderful, and it's a beautiful quilt. That being said, like I said, I'm gonna do mine a little bit lighter than hers. So hers are in dark denim. I'm actually gonna do my embroidery. I don't know how well this is gonna show. I think I'm trying to think of where I got this. I have a collection of, so these are called wovens. I hate that name for them because all quilt fabric is woven. Anyway, it just strikes me as weird. I want to say this is an Essex linen. If it's not Essex linen, it's similar from like Robert Kaufman. I'm going to do my background embroidery on those. And of course I did the equivalent of a floss toss with all the pearl cottons to make sure it would look good. And then I'm going to use, no idea what this is. It's another woven. It's got that like linen texture. It might not be 100% cotton. It might have linen in it. So I'm going to do my embroidery on here. And then these are going to be my sashing. What do you guys think? I'm very excited. I pulled out a bunch of fabrics last night to, and like delved into my kit and was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm very excited. I want to go ahead and get my background squares cut and like get started. I love that it comes in a little tin, which makes it easy to travel with. I'm so stinking excited about this project. Let's see how long it actually takes me to do it, right? All right, that's most, I want to make sure I put this back together nicely without messing up any of my adhesive circles with the embroidery patterns. I'm looking over there and getting confused. Okay, bear with me 1 second. Another thing in quilting land I've been spending a lot of my time doing is cutting fat quarters. So I have a lot of yardage dyed, quilting yardage dyed of, my dog's very confused. Quilting yardage dyed of my quilting fabric, and I've been cutting them up. I'm gonna have, I wanna load some more fat quarter bundles. I had some up on the website, they sold. I wanna get up some more. The quilt, because so many different fabrics go into these fat quarter bundles, they take a bit of time to dye. So I kind of don't like having them up there if I don't have them in stock, which is very different from how I do the cross stitch fabric. You can always order my quilting fabric, either a fat quarter or a yard or whatever you want at any time. But in terms of like pre-made bundles I only like putting them up when I have them ready to go. Because they're gonna take so long for me to dye. If somebody orders a fat quarter bundle with 12 fabrics in it, that's 12 colors I gotta dye. Anyway, I've been cutting fat quarters, and I don't just have blues and greens. I've got a lot more than that. I've got a huge stack over in the corner. So that's something oak crown wise I've been working on for the quilting universe, to get things ready for the website. Okay, so I have a lot of work to do. I need to clean up. I'm noticing as I'm talking, so I have a bunch of spinning wheels right next to me, and I'm noticing as I'm talking that somebody's been messing with my spinning wheels because some of them are put back in the wrong way, and that means somebody was messing with them, and that makes me upset. I'll have to investigate that. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great summer. I hope you are making and creating and daydreaming and loving what you do. And hopefully I will be back here soon to show you more progress or just to chat. And anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys again here soon. Bye.